last few days, even the past week, has been really tiring for a lot of us. I remember your post a few days ago saying that you're really sad and you were calling on the government of Edo State and during the wake of the incident, calling on the governor of Edo State to get to work, and you stating that you were genuinely tired and angry. So how's the last few days been for you, seeing the different things that's come up in society?
The last few days have been super exhausting for me because I have to be there. I have to be there to hear these stories. I have to digest these stories. I have to develop them and I have to retell them. And that has been super exhausting. Increased cases, the current cases that I've been looking into since the pandemic started, increased cases of gender-based violence, increased cases of rape, increased cases of child abuse, and these are the things that we've been looking into. We've been investigating the figures, and then these things come to sort of remind us that these numbers that we've been investigating are actual humans, and it's upsetting, super upsetting, because we see ourselves in this situation every day. I mean, I was in Uniben. We need to find so many quiet places to read. They would advise you read, don't start reading when it's close to exam, start reading early. So when we're on holidays, we gather in small chunks and try to find quiet places to read. And some of those places, include churches. So this is our reality. This is a position that I found myself in before, and I could have easily been raped and killed. And what would have been the conversation going on social media? What did I go there to do? To read, obviously. It doesn't matter what I went to do there. If I went there to prostitute, it's still not a defense for me to get raped and killed. So we seem to want to delete the lives of women in this country. Hear that police brutality is affecting young women. A young woman had her life cut short. I'm on my way right now to see her family. Her life was cut short because of a trigger-happy policeman. This morning I wake up and I see a situation that I've been in myself on Twitter. A young girl was in the bus traveling, and a man was molesting her with his fingers. And she had nobody there for her in that bus. Everyone told her she was overreacting, till she had to bring out her phone and record the man molesting her. She had to endure the molestation, she had to investigate herself. She had to start filming herself. So she had to be the police. She had to be the victim. She had to be her own lawyer. She had to be everything right there in a bus filled with human beings, and nobody was there for her. That's the situation I found myself in. It's twice. I found myself in that situation twice. The other time, it wasn't me. Another person said that a man was opening her zipper. I was in charge of her. She came to intern under me, and we were in a bus. A man was opening her zipper, and showing, ashamed of saying anything. And I shouted, and people in the bus told me I was shouting. But I didn't stop shouting because I knew exactly what it felt like to be in that same situation and there's no one there for me. So it's enraging. My blood is boiling. I'm fucking angry. And guess what? If you try to point out that I'm angry right now, I could go off on you, because why aren't you angry? What is wrong with you? Do you think that the life of a woman is less?
From what you just said, I hear there's a culture of there's a culture of silence in Nigeria where even victims have to, what would people say? First, a lot of people rush off to, when somebody complains, people rush up to her Instagram page. Did you put, how is she like? What's her character like? How does she present herself online? And then use it as a basis that, maybe she brought this upon herself and all of that. How can we change this conversation, and how can we end the culture of silence in Nigeria and generally the rape culture?
I'm going to address rape culture before the culture of silence, because the rape culture is just the driver of the culture of silence is just the driver for the rape culture. It's just one of the many things. All right, so like you said, if someone comes out and presents herself as the victim, she's first scrutinized. She's become a victim of a public scrutiny, or she's the one that has to defend herself that she's perfect enough to be a victim. And I think I need to remind people that you don't have to be a certain way to have human rights. You only have to be a human being. It doesn't have to be your sister. It doesn't have to be a good woman. She doesn't have to obey your rules. She doesn't have to be polite. She could be rude. She could be everything that you hate. But guess what? She's still human and she has as much right as you do. People saying, no, don't be rude. That's still not an excuse. People saying don't dress decently or whatever. That's still not an excuse. That's your pocket. All right. That's what is decent to you. This is decent to you. To another person is not decent. Someone will say my wrist is exposed. So that's your personal problem, is your personal belief, and it should not interfere with another human being's life. So we should tackle that when we start seeing women as humans first, not as people who should be submissive, not as people who should be quiet, not as people who shouldn't be loud, or not as people who should grow up. Once we start seeing them as first human beings, then we'll start respecting their human rights and we'll stop talking over them. And then the culture of silence is a very stupid culture because we're one of the loudest people in this part of the world. We just don't like when we're loud about a certain thing. You know, molestation, child abuse, domestic violence. We suddenly want to start going towards silence. It's just an excuse. It's the culture of scrutinizing the victim. Just like scrutinizing the victim is still just another excuse. All these things are excuses and they all fuel rape culture. We need to start looking at ourselves as people that are complicit in. You need to look at yourself and say, how am I a part of rape culture? You don't just say, oh, because today you did not hit a woman on her head and try to forcefully rape her, that means you're not a part of rape culture. What have you done? You know, we need to start asking ourselves this hard question. I need to tell each and every one of us in this country that somehow we have contributed to rape culture. Every single person, including myself speaking, in the way that we doubted victims, in the way that we chose to point out how people should be outraged, in the times that we kept quiet when we saw something going wrong, in the way that we gaslit, like somebody's coming out to tell you her story or telling her that, oh, it's not a big deal. Even in men who think that because they've not raped, they think they're not a part of rape culture, but they've touched somebody that came to sleep over at their houses. A person who trusted them enough to sleep over, they touched them inappropriately. And when the girl questioned them about it, they tried to gaslight and lie and say, oh, no, I didn't touch you. It must be in your head. You are part of rape culture. So everyone needs to talk about it right now, rather than fighting the next person that is angry. Fight yourself for not being angry.
A lot of people, I've seen a lot of Instagram posts on, oh, we handle this differently. Some of us we've refused to speak. Doesn't mean that this doesn't affect us, but this is how we've chosen to react to the situation, react to this different hashtags and problems in Nigeria. But we need to also talk about holding ourselves accountable. And moving from the conversation you just had is the conversation about not all men and not the time. So a lot of men have, in the wake of all this conversations, even some women, a lot of men during the wake of maybe an hashtag like justice for Uwa, justice for Jennifer, you see men coming out when people are talking about these issues, coming out to say not all men, not all men, not all men. And in that same in response, we've seen a lot of women still respond to this not the time. So how important is this conversation? What would you have to say to men who, in the wake of hashtag this, coming out to say not all men, instead of pushing for the conversation that somebody has been raped and killed, and there are other people silenced because you, as a man, would always come out and say not all men?
I would say it's possible that it's not all men, but definitely not the people saying not all men, especially them, because they're the ones derailing the conversation. We don't give a shit if it's not all men. It takes one man to kill a woman and rape a woman in a church, hit her on the head with a fire extinguisher, and leave her bloodied to die. It takes just one man. So I don't give a fuck if it's not all the millions of men in the world. What's my fucking business with the good ones? I don't get it. Like, what are the good ones doing for me right now? If I have 10 of them in my home trying to rape me, and then 10 others at the gates doing nothing about it, what the fuck is my business with the fucking men? And why are they telling me that it's not all men? I don't give a shit, and they should fucking fuck off. They should shut the fuck up. We're tired of all these stupid conversations that mean nothing. derailing the important conversation that we have a culture that hates women. You want to tell us that men don't hate women? Don't tell us. Show us. Defend us. Come to our aid. Fight our fight, because we're human beings too. I don't want to fucking hear it. Not all men. So fuck what? Why are you telling me that? Fine, not all men, but especially you. You, the person trying to derail the conversation that I'm having with not all men. That's all I have to say to those people. And I'm not even going to give them like 2 seconds of my time. Right now, there is a woman, like, right, I'm on my way right now to a family. They need me. Go and tell them, go and tell this family that have lost their 17-year-old that is not all men. What should they do with that information, please?
Which is the young lady, the girl who was raped and killed at a few days ago. How can we hold religious organizations, education? Because a friend of mine was really triggered by the University of stating that mind where we are and how the companies we keep and all of that, their statement. But how can we hold religious organizations, educational, in terms of creating structures and policies that can
yeah, it's really bad. But the bulk of what I from your question is that how can we hold these institutions accountable? So on Twitter, I tried to call the attention of everyone, Uniben. I mean, it didn't happen in the premises of Uniben, but I just feel like at this point, silence is betrayal. So in any way that you're related to this incident, you should have said something already. She was a student of Uniben. Come out for your students, tell us that you hate things. If you're silent about it, you're telling us something else. If it happened in your church, come out and tell us. We're not saying that you killed her. You're not saying we're not saying that you raped her. But we're saying that at this point, silence is betrayal. So as a church, if we're calling you out, we don't hate you. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear that you care about us. And if you blatantly ignore us, you have told us exactly what we need to know. That you don't give a damn. It's just about your image for you. It's optics for you. And that's how everyone should be held responsible right now. No, you're not responsible for rape, but it's rape culture we're talking about. And rape culture has been driven by silence. And your silence is empowering the oppressor. Why are you silent? Why would somebody rape and kill somebody in cold blood and will not start feeling hot in their homes? Because everybody is talking about it. Because the oppressor cannot be at peace. Your silence is encouraging their peace. You do not let them be at peace. If you let them be at peace, you let us be at war. So you're either waging war against oppression or you're waging war with women. And you have to choose one place to stand. And you have to choose it fast. Because this is a race for our lives here. We don't know which other girl has been killed right now in a dark alley. We don't know which other woman is suffering at the hand of a rapist right now. We don't know which other woman is being beaten by her husband right now. But we are tired. We know that it's happening at such a huge, like the capacity is so huge that you're saying not all men, but truly all women. And we want to hear you. We want you to take responsibility. We want to hold you accountable, not because that you're the one that actually did, the act, but you're encouraging the culture of this act.
So how can we move beyond this conversation? Just another hashtag. Just for we saw some people in Benin City take a walk office and a peaceful protest around the city.
Yeah.
How can we all as a people move from this just being an hashtag to becoming
like with every other change, it has to start with structures. We're not fighting a couple of people. We're fighting a system. We're fighting a system that is even legalized. We're fighting a system that has the backing of law enforcement. So it has to start from the top. The structure has to change. So we need to hear our leaders talk to us and tell us that they're going to do something about it. While we do what we can at the grassroots, we need to know that they're replicating our efforts over there at the top. So it shouldn't just be another hashtag. Edo State even has more of the more robust ones. They have something against trafficking. They have something against sexual harassment and rape, and then Lagos is also doing very well with the DSBRT. Well, I mean, those laws will just be pieces of paper if we don't have people that have done this end up in jail. So it's the political will. It's all of us. You do. You have influence in your own home. You have influence with your friends. Your friends have told you about the girl whose drink they spiked. Friends have told you about the girl whose nudes that they have that they've been using to blackmail her. Reject such a friendship, and you need to do away with any male approval that will come from that friendship. It's not worth it. It will just be, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and know that truly, truly, you are not encouraging rape culture. Only then, in fact, even then, you still can't say not all men. We'll keep reminding them that we are so sick and tired, we're angry, we're tired, and maybe we will take laws into our own hands.
Let's talk about from the last conversation, care structure. So in other times, I was watching a particular conversation yesterday with Everything Art, Amin, and she talked about how in America, perhaps these men who were involved in this rape have caused by they would have taken the semen samples from the lady, and then they would have checked the database, and then would have gotten it by found it.
Yes.
But we do not have those in Nigeria. How can we call for reform that ensures that all of these actions and steps are taken, bring people to book? And what actions are for somebody who's caught, like a rapist who's caught, what is the right punishment for the person, for the rapist?
I usually tell women that fighting corruption is literally fighting for our lives, because at the end of the day, we are the collateral damage. At the end of the day, corruption is Nigeria's biggest problem. If you look at any other problem that we have, you can draw a straight line from there to corruption. And then there is that sweet spot, the intersectionality of gender and corruption, where all of us sit and suffer. So we are just victims of a failed system. We want to fight for our rights. We want somebody that has been raped to go to jail. But guess what? We don't have the forensics to investigate. We have a bloody crime scene with enough DNA to know anybody that was at that crime scene. But we are now the collateral damage of this corruption, because corruption has refused to invest in its policing and has refused to invest in its security. So when I tell women that fighting for corruption is literally fighting for your life, they don't see it as something that affects them directly, but they don't know that at the end of that food chain, at the very bottom of the food chain, we're eaten alive. So we need to fight that corruption. Corruption is the end of everything. So if corruption fails, the systems that don't work start to heighten. For example, our patriarchal system, our rape culture, those things become really huge. In a pandemic, those things start to magnify themselves. You see that, oh, we have a culture of men beating their wives. But when we have a pandemic, when we have social services locked down and we have women locked in with those abusers, it's now magnified. We now see how bad it is. We see that she would have been able to run away before, but she's no longer able to run away anymore because we have a lockdown. So these things amplify the useless structures that we have, and at the end of the day, we are the collateral damage. So we need to fight for corruption like we're fighting for our lives, because we truly are fighting for our lives. We can't just put in anybody. Fine, they said not too young to run. We're looking for women to put in power. We need to put people in power that have the interest of young people and women at heart. I don't care who that person is, as long as you have the interest of women at heart, you should be there.
Question that was tied to that: what is the right punishment for a rapist? Because a lot of people, there are a lot of punishments that I've seen, but then do you think any punishment is extreme enough for a rapist?
I mean, currently where we stand right now, we have more people who have come out to accuse their rapists, suffering for that accusation, than actual rapists. So currently, where we stand right now, nothing is too extreme. Nothing. Because people die who had died at the hand of a rapist, and he's still alive somewhere breathing, probably on his way to rape somebody else. So nothing is too extreme.
I've known you to be very involved with conversations around minorities, and like you said, there is time, a pandemic where people are locked up. Queer people are locked up with families, with people who do not genuinely support them. So what would you say to these people and the violence that they face? And how can we show up for this minority?
I say that I'm sorry that the society, does not respect your autonomy, does not respect your choices, does not respect your personhood. It's very unfortunate. And I have literally no words because I don't even know. I personally have been able to like layer myself with some sort of privilege that prevents me from being in a situation where I am not under control, you know. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that because they're either too young or not rich enough or not emotionally independent, and it's very unfortunate. And I feel like if you have the privilege, you should be able to do something or say something, especially this time where it's worse. So a support system right now is the best bet we can have. This is not the time to start debating people's humanity or start saying, oh, this is what your religion permits or your religion doesn't permit. This is not the time to debate people's humanity. This is the time to reach out and be kind. Be kind to the next person suffering at the hands of oppression that you don't face. So I would say that I'm sorry to whoever is locked in with their abuser or their oppressor right now. And I'm sorry that this is something that you had to go through. I'm sorry the world is not kind to you, and I really wish better for you.
Thank you so much, Kiki. This was truly, truly amazing. Thank you for and keep doing amazing work that you do, and we'd love to see it.
Thank you very much, Desmond. Thank you.
Yeah.